Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Holmes Studios. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your best bets for Tuesday, April 22nd in the NBA playoffs. On today's show, we're going to get Brandon Anderson's thoughts from the weekend that was, the game ones, most meaningful outcomes, how those series look after we get these instant reactions. Try not to overreact, probably overreact a little bit. We'll get market reactions from Michael Fiddle as he breaks down all the numbers and ways that the market moved and, well, kind of sucked in their prognostications based off of the market moves and what that means possibly for getting back on track with the market on game two. Then we'll do best bets as well for Tuesday. This is for Tuesday in the association. If you're looking for Monday, go check it out in the podcast feed. It's the Sunday night show. So Monday's show that we post in the afternoons will be for the next day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The only show that's for next day will be the Sunday night shows. If you didn't join us on Buckets Live on Sunday night, you missed a great one as we were watching Warriors Rockets and Jim Turvey jinxed the ever-loving shit out of an Amen Thompson rebound prop. Just absolutely incredible jinxing. It was an all-timer. What could possibly go wrong? Just patting himself on the back. We're going to be doing that consistently throughout the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're going to get Buckets Live with us on youtube.com/, the Action Network. We'll put them out on Twitter. It's going to be up there. Go to the YouTube page, set your reminders. Go hit the like and subscribe. Go hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you can catch Buckets Live throughout the NBA playoffs. Those shows are not going to be on our podcast feed. So if you want to hear those, which is our instant reactions to the night that was, our best bets, our worst bets, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, you're going to want to check it out over on the Live Buckets page. Brandon Anderson's with me at Wheaton Brando in the Action Network app and on Twitter. Michael Fiddle's with us, Fiddle's Picks on Twitter and the Action Network app. Two very different sides of the coin. And I want to get into these game one reactions. Brandon Anderson, you have very kindly and very smartly, this is a great format, buddy. You've got like the most meaningful game one power rankings to talk about the games that mattered, the games that didn't, going from least meaningful 8 down to the most meaningful 1. You get to start, my friend. Where do you want to start off with your game one reactions?
Yeah, I think you have to start as the least meaningful has to be the OKC Grizzlies game. I get home from Easter church Sunday and it's already like 66:30. I'm like, all right, cool, TV back off. I guess we got what we knew we were coming here. Oklahoma City is way better. We knew that. And I think more importantly, I don't want to overreact to how way better Oklahoma City was. That can happen to you, can get away. And, the threes are raining in. But I think more importantly is that the Grizzlies played the late night Friday game. Didn't even, I guess they know their opponent, but late night Friday, you get the noon local tip off. I mean, it's Oklahoma City, so I guess this is what we're going to do. NBA kind of screwed the Grizzlies over here, and, they're a much worse team than the Thunder. We knew that. All the props got screwed up, all the series stuff got screwed up. Our SGA points leader, 30 points a game bet, down the drain immediately. Like his season low. SGA 15 points. Oh no, he's never going to score again. No, didn't mean anything. That's it. Oklahoma City, we learned nothing.
Yeah, hard for me to take much away from that, except for that my belief in Marvin Bagley the third, that he can be a meaningful NBA player, continues unabated, and that my seething hatred for the selection of Zach Edey with the ninth pick in last year's draft. When he looked pretty good, I was like, oh no, this one's gonna be one that I'm gonna regret. And now I'm like, resurface the clip, show the clip again of me saying and yet he's like they wouldn't not in this game. They can't play in the series at all. Joe Delaire, Jim Turvey, and I are like currently debating like, is he going to get played off in the series? And I think it's an interesting question, but we'll tackle that when we get to that game. Michael Fiddle, market reaction on this one. Not surprised that the Thunder have bumped up in game two market. That's not surprising to me.
Yeah, not at all. It's another terrible Memphis schedule spot coming on Tuesday. It becomes fourth game in 7 nights for them now. So it's really just Memphis has been handed defeat to them. I mean, even if everything had gone right, right? If Brandon Clark was there, if they didn't have to fire their coach, they had other injuries, Jalen Wells. Okay, maybe 2 points for one, 2 points for another, 2 points for another. What are these guys all worth to spread? OKC still would have won by 45. So I think we're just really learning that OKC is that much better. This next game in game two qualifies for a system play, which I often talk about here. First round favorites, just taking 1 or 2 seeds anytime in the NBA playoffs in the first round. that they're -4 or greater. That's 3-0 thus far, and OKC will qualify every single game this series because they will be -4 or greater in Memphis. So I think you could just keep going back to the OKC ATS well.
I gotta make a note about this for me to circle back for how I walked into that Celtics game. Just walked in despite this trend, knowing this trend, and I just like ran full speed into the door and slammed my face into it. It was live for a while, looked great at half, but we'll come back to it. Brandon, what's next on our power rankings?
Yeah, I'm gonna surprise you here. Shouts to Joe House, who shouted us out for talking about this series. But my number seven most meaningful is actually the Pacers Bucks. That really was exactly what I expected in that game. That's what we talked about in that game, one of us at least. And I think the more important point here is not a victory lap on getting the Pacers stuff right. The important point is that, I mean, a little bit. We'll take a little bit of that. The important thing is that as we're recording on Monday, Dame is upgraded to questionable now. It looks to me like we should expect Dame to play, I would guess, like 20, 25 minutes Tuesday night for game two. Effectively, what that tells me is that game one is an outlier. Game one tells us not really a lot of anything meaningful for the series going forward because Dame is such a good player and such an important player and such a big unknown. Will his minutes be there? How will they react? How will the rotations change? Like, I don't know that we can really take anything from this first game one. We could, if that's what the series was going forward, we should take a lot of it. But the series abruptly changes now with Dame back. So I don't know that we can really take too many takeaways from that game, no matter what happened in it.
This is rude of you to put this here. It's not nice of you to put this here. Um, I felt so good. It's like House shouted us out for it, and then like Ryan Russillo dunked on me about it on the
Hey,
Simmons
shout out to the Ringer.
podcast.
The Ringer's listening to us.
The Simmons podcast without naming me. So I genuinely appreciate Russillo not being like this jackass at the Action Network. Matt Moore thought that they were better without Dame. How's that looking? I got 5 minutes into this game and was like, I bet on Doc Rivers versus Rick Carlisle. Like I can't believe just some of these games. I'm like, what was I thinking? And I don't necessarily even know that I galaxy brained that taking the Bucks in this spot. What I just did was I didn't what I should have done was taken game one and been tentative and like dipped my toe in the water and been like, oh wait, I'll see how this plays out. And if Doc's gonna not be Doc, and then Doc was Doc, and instead I just like got creamed on that game. So bad job by me, great job by Brandon. Pacers are probably gonna win the series because Doc Rivers is truly true. Like, how did this man win an NBA championship? Like, I just and it's like he's a good regular season coach, but God, some of these decisions. Fiddle, you got anything on the market on the series?
Yeah, the late move in game one was a heavy over move. So I think in game two, you could only look towards the over. And I also really like Bucks money line. I will save that for best bets. But I
Oh,
think
good.
this is a Bucks rebound
I'm
spot.
gonna get talked back into it. Great. This is gonna be so much fun. What's third, Brandon?
Third is the Celtics. Celtics Magic. I think pretty much what we all expected there. Tough to score. Magic are not going to score. Magic team total unders we talked about as a possible play in a game where you like Boston, maybe a pivot away from the big spread. Paolo had a pretty good game. Paolo put up a lot of points. Paolo did good Paolo stuff. And I think the Celtics were like, yeah, we're good. We're good with that because you're not going to beat us on your own and you're not getting enough help. Franz did not have a good game and there's just nothing else happening there offensively. I didn't really think the Celtics played that great, honestly. We talked about Magic Celtics threes and limiting the 3-point attempts. To me, a huge swing in this one. I'm trying to find the number here. First half, 3-point attempts, Magic 7 of 18, Celtics 7 of 16. They matched them on threes. They got two more attempts up. They were ahead at halftime. Second half, Magic 3 of 9 on threes, 9 threes and a half. The Celtics 9 of 21 on
Yeah.
threes. That's the thing you can't do. That's where I think Orlando kind of let it get away, and it started right away. Derek White came out and hit a few threes like right out of the gates after halftime. You can't have the same number of attempts as the Celtics have actual makes. So I think they'll fix that a little bit. But to me, this looks like kind of what we thought. I think that the Magic can play Magic basketball and hang around enough to like steal a game, maybe two, possibly. But the Celtics didn't look great. Jaylen Brown, I think, still doesn't look totally healthy. Porzingis didn't really do a lot. Tatum didn't have that great of a game. And then the Celtics still won comfortably, despite all of that, despite the threes thing not really happening for them. I think it's kind of what we thought here. I think the Magic are live to win a game, but the series is going to only head one direction.
You got to face guard Derek White. Just face guard Derek White, man. Like Drew Holiday hitting 3 or 4, whatever he hit, that's fine. Like Drew, I do not trust Drew to shoot consistently this well. Maybe he's just become a playoff sniper, which has to just infuriate Bucks fans. But you can't let Derek White get up 12 attempts. You cannot do that. They did such a good job in so many areas, and a lot of it was honestly what's funny. They started doing like turnovers and rebounds were like fast break opportunities. I just got to be really clear on this. The Celtics are doing this on purpose, guy. Like it's not. This isn't like creating great basketball. Missoula walked in there and was like, "We don't have enough threes. We win with math. Go play the math game." And they went out and like, "Okay, coach, let's get out more threes." Doesn't matter about the quality. It's not about generating great ones. It's really not. You can't let every Derek White three is a good look because the dude doesn't shoot them unless it's a good look. He's never gonna be like pump. If he has the pump fake, he's like, "All right, I'm passing to somebody else, and I'll go get another shot later." Like for the love of God, stay home on Derek White. For the love of God, drives me nuts. Fiddle, anything on the market?
Yeah, for this one, I think it's just Celtics ATS on repeat. The interesting thing to note is that while the Celtics are taking steam for game two, the total is collapsing. Obviously,
Huh.
that should make sense. It's down to like 201 right now. Historically, when you get a spread north of 10 and a total below 215, you get these kind of blowout games. Now, it's more of a regular season thing than a playoff thing, but it's really baking in the Magic to just not be able to score at all. And sometimes when one team is scoring well, it just generates offense and easier looks for both teams. So I could only look towards the over, but my best angle would be Celtics ATS. Repeat 4 games in a row. Not scared at all about Boston Celtics game two woes last season. I think that's a fickle trend.
The only way that the Magic are winning this series last weekend was WrestleMania. And unless we're in the middle of game three, by God, that's Trey Young's music. Like, unless that happens, the Magic are going home. Keep going, Brandon.
Unless Trey Young shows up for the Magic, they're going home. That is a sentence. That's a take right there. Okay. Number 5 in the most meaningful game ones. Going with that third blowout from Sunday. So Cavs Heat, but like we don't need tiers in these power rankings. This is a tier drop though after those other three. Like to
Huh.
me, clearly a more meaningful game than the Celtics game or than the Thunder game. Look, the Cavs played really well, obviously. The Cavs shot 18 of 43 on threes, 42%. They turned over 7 times. That's A plus basketball. Like that is the number one offense doing number one offense things. Donovan has 30, Garland has 27, Ty Jerome has 28. They're combined 12 of 26 on threes. You're not getting better games than that from 3 guards on your team. That's awesome shot making. And the Heat still hung around all game. It's still a game into the fourth quarter until the Cavs pulled away. This is a really slow pace. They played an 86 pace. This is a Miami style game. I'm a little disappointed they didn't get more threes up. I thought Spo would push the variance there. But to me, I don't really think the Heat played that well. Even for the Heat, I thought the Heat played with a C game. I thought the Cavs brought their A game, and it still took till the fourth quarter to pull away. So to me, my takeaway is the Heat are definitely going to win a game or two here. And I think that this series is not the same as the other 2 blowouts from Sunday.
I disagree. I think this is confirmation bias and you hoping on hope after your Heat
Why
series.
would I hope to see more Miami Heat in my life? I don't want the
Because
Miami
you
Heat in
look
my
like a
life.
genius that like you could be right. I think that here's the kind of thing. The difference between this Heat team and the previous year's teams is like this is a game that they find a way to win. And you're like, how did they win that? How? And now without Butler and with where this roster is at, it's like, yeah, no, they can hang. Like they're like good job, good effort. Fiddle, market thoughts on Heat
Yeah,
Cavs.
there's a resounding early Heat sentiment for game two, and I
Interesting.
kind of understand it with finally 3 days rest and Spoelstra preparation in that spot. Now, part of me also is saying keep waiting that out and find the discount point and the drop point to go the other way. and take Cleveland, but this is one of those spots where, best number in any case, whether you're getting a Heat at plus 12.5, or maybe the Cavs at like minus 10.5, minus 11 when it gets that low and going the other direction. I can't argue with any of it, but early market has been towards the Miami Heat.
Brandon, what's next?
All right, number four. Now we're getting to the real, there's a clear bottom four and a top four here. So these ones really mattered. Detroit basketball and New York Knicks. I think there's a lot to take away there. The Detroit kids hung around for 3 quarters. Detroit didn't just hang around, they're leading. Like, if you just listen to the announcers and to the crowd, you'd think the Knicks are up like 15 at that point. Like, the Knicks keep having these big momentum plays. The crowd at MSG is roaring. Everything's going great, but the Knicks or the Pistons kept responding. The Pistons kept taking punches and coming back. Obviously, as any playoff game, lots of outlier stuff. Oh, Tobias Harris, is he going to have whatever 22 again in the first half? No, he did in the second half. He did Tobias in the second half. He already disappeared. Like, the Knicks have some of that stuff as well. Really, what this came down to is the Pistons. Like, compare this to the Rockets game, which we'll get to. The Rockets at home with all of their youth, their energy and efforts lasted like 5 or 6 minutes. And the Warriors were like, yeah, but we're better than you. So here's some things we're going to do now. The Pistons on the road with no playoff experience come out, weather the storm for 3 quarters with a lead, and then 5 minutes just blows everything. Campaign goes crazy. Just a little thing, but like at the start of the fourth quarter, even before we got to see it on TV, Campaign causing a 5 second to start a quarter. When has that ever happened before? That sets the tone, though. That gets the crowd fired up. That gets your team fired up. I thought the role players for the Knicks showed up big. Campaign and Karl-Anthony Towns, obviously, is who I mean by that. Great 5 minute stretch by the Knicks, 21-0. In 5 minutes, it all went away, and maybe that will just keep happening. I thought before the series that Detroit could hang here. I thought everything we saw in game one says Detroit could hang. They can't do that for that 5 minute stretch. They need to cut the turnovers. There are some things there, but for a young team on the road, I thought Detroit actually answered quite a few questions, and I don't think we should feel very good about the Knicks after this one in particular. Brunson did not look that great. You can't expect that 5 minute 21-0 stretch always. So I think there's a lot to take from that one.
I'm not lower on Pistons after this. I'm not higher on Pistons after this. It's about like I'm about even. It's like, hey, they had like I expected them to compete. I expected them to be in this game. They had a lead. They got crushed by the run. Campaign is like one of those prototypical NBA playoffs. The opposing fans are like, this guy is killing us. It's like the worst feeling in the world when a guy that you think sucks comes out and is that like that's what kills you. Something on Brunson. Brunson was 1 of 6 when guarded by Dennis Schroeder. That's not going to hold. I went back and watched all of them. They were really good looks. I'm expecting Jalen to have a bounce back performance in game 2. I've got that for best bets for tonight's game, which if you're listening to this tomorrow, you will have already heard. So I might look stupid. Karl-Anthony Towns, not bullied, not shoved around.
Everyone's favorite role player.
Very, very, very honorable and great performance by Karl-Anthony Towns and
He's a great front runner. Gotta give him credit.
To the haters in leading a great comeback. Fiddle, your thoughts on the market for Knicks Pistons?
I think Knicks Pistons right now is the biggest pros versus Joes round one series matchup with a lot of public sentiment on the Detroit Pistons and a lot of money coming back on the Knicks. If you're looking at tickets and betting splits of that stuff, I really like to isolate it within each sports book. I've talked about how I don't really value them, but in a way that you could use them to your advantage is like when you isolate them at a specific sports book. And in this instance, I'll point out FanDuel, which has had the best Pistons price on the market. So it makes sense that they were going to get a volume of Pistons tickets. But when you look at how much money they have actually on the Knicks and the line movement towards the Knicks, those are like what you call reverse line movement as a market indicator. This has been a Knicks spot. I also think just gameplay wise, something that's not being spoken about was Josh Hart's early foul trouble. And then he's there for the big run. We had Landry Shamet playing in the first quarter in a Tibbs playoff game. I just don't think that's there. If Josh Hart doesn't get in foul trouble, it decreases the Knicks' transition offenses. It's worse help defense and recovery on Beasley and THJ, who really started to get loose. So I think this is resoundingly a Knicks spot, and I think it'll be a quick, maybe 5 series gentleman's sweep.
Woo, look at you. Brandon, Wolves Lakers, take the victory lap, my man. I'm
I
gonna
had to
have a
break
light while
out
you're
the
doing that.
Timberwolves shirt for this one. Man, Wolves Lakers, the Wolves are here for it. The Wolves showed up. The Timberwolves were ready. And I thought, this to me felt emotionally like the Timberwolves and Nuggets series from last year, for a game at least. We'll see. It's only one game, obviously. But that team showed up like a team that was disrespected, that was kind of counted out. I'm sure that has like the post that I'm sure exists from ESPN of all the Lakers picks on the series, because guess what? That's what ESPN's going to do when the Lakers are in a series. The Timberwolves were better by a lot at all the things, which is exactly what we thought from on paper into the series, on offense, on defense. The threes math was a problem. Man, the Timberwolves shot 21 of 42 on threes, 50%. Like, obviously, that feels like an outlier. However, guess how many of those 42 three-pointers were considered tightly contested by the Lakers? Zero. None. These are rhythm threes. I forget the number. I think something like 19 were considered like open, and then the rest wide open. These are rhythm threes to guys that can hit the shot. Naz Reid taking open corner threes. He's going to make 50% of those threes or better, like he did. The rest of the Timberwolves, Julius Randle, big shooting game. Probably not going to count on that every night after night. He'd have 7 turnovers too. But the Timberwolves aren't going to shoot 50% on threes, but they're not going to shoot 20% on threes either. They did not feel the Lakers defense at all. They didn't notice anything happening out there. The Lakers look like a 3-man team coming to the playoffs. They look like a 2.5-man team after this game. I wanted LeBron in the Draymond role for years now. I want to see what that looked like. This is not what I meant. Not doing nothing in the first quarter. No points, no assists, no rebounds. Like, this to me was Luka being all the things that everyone wants to count him as. This was Luka as Trae Young with better PR. Just like hitting fadeaway shots. The crowd goes wild. You're down 17. Way to go. Like, highlight LaMelo Ball basketball. That's the Lakers. The Timberwolves took care of them easy, and I think that series might be over.
What was your series prediction for this series?
I picked Timberwolves in 6.
That was 5. It's like your takeaways match what you had before. What's that called? Anyway, the by the way, one important note here, I have to object to this because you could be totally right. They could just stomp this team. The Wolves are awesome, and I was glad to see them like step up the way that they did, and the Lakers not get an outrageous whistle. Um, you mentioned like the shooting on like the open stuff. This is really important to me. Your average rate of conversion on wide open threes is still around 42 to 44%. The Wolves were 53%. Now, that doesn't make up for the differential, and it doesn't make up for the volume is the bigger problem. That's the bigger issue. But I just wanted to object because there's this idea, like, for some reason, people are like, well, they were open and they'll hit those 60% of the time. No, that is not how it works in the NBA. It's not how it works. Your average is like 42, 44%. Anything above that, and you're in outlier territory, anything above 50% on wide open looks. I understand it's like, but they're wide open and they're NBA players. I'm telling you, historically speaking, like that's not how that works. It was a great game. We'll see what they do in game two. I don't know if I want Lakers. I might just be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm all right. I'll sit this one out. We'll see how they respond in game two. Fiddle, what's the market said about this game?
There are a few spots where the zigzag of the NBA playoffs is overwhelmingly priced into the market. Like Clippers down 0-1 are now a favorite on the road in Denver. The Lakers are -5.5 in game
Yeah.
two after closing game four at -4 and losing. So, how do we get to 5.5? There's just a strong sentiment that the zigzag theory comes through, that the Wolves let up a little bit, the Lakers lock in and are laser focused. I would say that probably does come from LeBron. If there's like LeBron depressed points prop out there, I would probably look towards those overs. That would be the correlated angle in taking some Lakers stuff in the market read, because I can't get there on taking a -5.5, but the king has got to show up if that's going to be the case. It'll be really, really, really interesting for the first time because like now LeBron's back against the wall a little bit, and he has someone on his team that could like truly demand more usage. It will be really interesting to see what the usage is in game two between Luka and LeBron.
Lakers open 5. It's 5.5 now in our pro subscription, which you can sign up for right now. We are tracking sharp action on it. The splits are interesting too. 51% of the tickets are on the Wolves. The public are buying in and thinking the Lakers are overrated. 53% of the money is on the Lakers. We'll see who turns out right there. What's next, Brandon?
All right, number two, Rockets and Warriors. Obviously, the finale game of the weekend. Very troubling to me for the Rockets. This game is an 88 pace. It's a slog. 42% offensive rebounds for the Rockets. Like holy cow. Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün, Alman Thompson, boy, doesn't Jim know about that, hitting the offensive rebounds late. Almost half of their misses, and there were a lot of misses. They get them back. You got the home energy, you got the young energy. It's a low scoring, ugly game in the mud. And the Rockets were like barely competitive anyway. They made it a little bit close toward the end, and every time they got a little bit close, the Warriors quickly went on to run and put it away. This is the game the Rockets want to play. They didn't win anyway, and they weren't really that competitive in it. That is very worrisome to me as somebody that couldn't really make up my mind that well in this series because of what we saw the last time these teams played and what we saw in the in-season tournament when these teams played. When the Rockets won the two more meaningful games, to play your version of what you want the series to be, Houston, and still not really have a shot. And man, that offense looked miserable in the half court. I think that is very troublesome. I thought that this was a very coin flippy series going in, and I would lean much more heavily toward the Warriors now. They obviously got their road win. Steph now, I think, has had a road win at least once in 28 of 29 series in his career. Ridiculous stat for him. Obviously, has won a lot of playoff games. But I think the Warriors have to feel pretty good about themselves. And Rockets, like, I don't know if we learned a lot. I think we just confirmed the thing we feared about them,
Yeah.
which was, I don't know if you can really score when it matters. And I'm not sure they can.
I mean, the idea was like, all right, is there a guy on that team that can be well suited for the playoffs who can have a moment? And all eyes were on Jalen Green. And Jalen Green looked like the player that he has been for the majority of his career. This is not January versus the Hawks anymore. And if he can't be that guy, what's he doing? The numbers say that they were worse without Amen, or with Amen. Amen had a minus 23.6 net rating, 90.5 offensive rating, which is god awful, but I felt like he actually stepped up and made plays in the fourth quarter, and no one else did. So like their starting lineup needs to be Amen, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith Jr. at three, and the double big Şengün Adams. And I just don't know if Udoka is going to feel like he can get there. But that's like what they need to do. That to me like when Amen started making plays in that fourth quarter is when they made that push. And he's not ready yet, but that's like your best shot because like Dylan and Jalen were not there. Fred missed shots. I'm fine with Fred VanVleet. He missed shots. That happens. I'm okay with Fred VanVleet. The rest of the guys I think are sunk. Fiddle, market reaction on the series.
Another crazy zigzag spot where the Rockets are taking a lot of money for game two. They closed at a -2.5 in game one after opening as a slight underdog, the series price, obviously heavily favoring the Warriors. So now to see this out to -3 at many of places, -3 is out to -115 right now at Circa, which is one of the sharper books. So if this gets to 4, which I mean, considering the board right now, you'd say it has a chance, then that becomes fitting of that system where it's a 2 seed in the first round playing the Rockets. So I can only think to play the Rockets. I know they looked horrible in game one and we're searching for reasons why, but the market speaks volumes and it's definitely Rockets or nothing.
How about this? 2 seeds at home after losing game one since 2003 in the first round. 9-0 straight up. They are 7-2 against the spread. I don't know if I like fitting them to this model though, because they are not a typical 2 seed. We'll get to that game when we talk about it later in the week. Brandon, what's the final most meaningful on your power rankings?
The number one most meaningful will already be outdated perhaps by the time you listen because it's the game happening tonight. It is the Clippers and Nuggets. Game two. Matt, you will be there, I assume. What did we learn? I don't even know what we learned. We just needed to have learned the most out of this game. I learned that, boy, do I not enjoy having money and bets on the Clippers. Boy, I did not miss that feeling. That wasn't fun. I learned that I don't trust the Clippers down the stretch. On offense, certainly, they're just doing nothing. Like, what are these possessions out here? I don't trust Kawhi as a playmaker. We saw a lot of turnovers. I think 7 turnovers from Kawhi in game one. Denver made a good decision on that. I learned that I don't trust the Clippers defensively, apparently. Apparently, we're
Mm.
just going to send double teams and the 3-on-2 teams. And I understand the idea is make Russ beat you, but Russ beat you. That's what happened out here. I did not expect this much Russell Westbrook or James Harden, if I'm being honest, in my life in the playoffs in 2025. I honestly thought heading into the overtime, I thought that overtime game one might already be for the series because here we are 2 days later in altitude in game two. Now, the Nuggets starters played a lot more minutes, but the Nuggets starters are used to playing in altitude, and Jokic has played all the minutes in his career, and it doesn't ever matter to him. The Clippers look like they ran out of gas already at the end of game one, and the Clippers don't have conditioned guys. Kawhi has no conditioning to play lots of minutes and suddenly ramp up. Like, we have no reason to believe in the last 5 years that he can do that. So now we have the fast turnaround. You have the emotional gut punch of the game one. And importantly, I didn't get to give this one out. I will put this into the app. Where are my numbers here? James Harden. James Harden, game two, mineshaft season. Here's how this works with James Harden. Since he won MVP in 2018, in game one, when he has 3 or more days of rest, because you get the long gap and you get the rested James Harden, he averages 31.8 points a game. 31.8. In game two, that very next game, he drops to 20.8, an 11 point per game drop from James Harden. He dropped from game one to game two, 10 of the 12 games by an average of 14 points a game. Harden looked great in game one. That's what he does in game one. He had 32, 6, and 11. By that trend, if you just go by the math, he would project to 18 points in game two. The Clippers can't afford to have him drop 14 points down. I would be looking at Harden unders and mineshaft for tonight. And if Harden doesn't really show up and they don't really let him make plays up, and Kawhi has to do everything on his own, including playmaking, I think there's a very real chance that the Nuggets go up 2-0. And I don't think that the Clippers, with their injuries, with the Kawhi injury that's inevitably going to happen at some point, I don't know if you come back from 2-0 on the road. I don't know if the Clippers are built for that. So I don't know really what to take out of game one, but I think there are a lot of takeaways from game one, and they're going to be more by the time that we get to tonight.
Yeah, I don't want to overload here because again, this our shelf life on this is going to be a couple hours. Uh, 5 seeds that lost game one, and this refers to the Bucks, by the way, as well. 6-19 straight up since 2003, and 8-17, 32% ATS in game two. So I was shocked because I was like, oh, it's the 4-5, so the five should probably have a pretty good chance of getting one of the two games, and instead it's like, no, if you don't get that first one, 5 seed goes home down 0-2. And what's crazy there is the numbers for who wins the series up 2-0 in the first round is dominant if you go up 2-0. So we'll see what happens. I'm trying very hard not to overreact to the ephemeral, I will just say I'm very interested to see how the leadership of the Los Angeles Clippers responds in a situation of adversity tonight. Fiddle, what's the market on this one?
The market still says the Clippers in the series is resoundingly the best place to place your money. So,
Okay.
regardless of what happens and people catch up to this podcast, whether Clippers are down 0-2 or Clippers are 1-1 going back home, I think Clippers series is going to be a good bet.
To
Um,
me, this series reminds me of Knicks Sixers from last year when Matt, you and I argued a little bit, and I said, "Game one, it happened. The Sixers blew it. The series is over." And the Sixers kind of pushed back some. They made some pushes. They got obviously the injuries because that's what the Sixers do, but that's also what the Clippers do. And the series was over. The Knicks won the series. A coin flip result. Look, Russell Westbrook hits the open three in the final minute, and they get that. Dunn missed the open three in overtime. You just easily, those are coin flips. We've seen the tweet out there about the Mario hitting the box, or just like whatever's going to happen randomly coming up for Westbrook, you could easily flip those, and the Clippers win, and they're up 1-0. But guess what? The reality of the outcome matters, and the reality is the Clippers controlled the game most of the way, should have won the game, which that also is relevant data here as well, but then they didn't, and now they're down 0-1 and in a rough spot for game two. And if that gets away from you after putting so much out there, again, like you just said, we know what happens when you go down 0-2, especially in these 4 or 5 series.
This is only the third time that a team has lost game one as a 5 seed and been favored in game two. The other two were Rockets over Jazz in 2007. They lost that game and lost outright or didn't cover. And then Mavericks Clippers last year when the Clippers won game one, Mavericks were favored in game two and they won and covered because Ty Lue himself. Okay, good stuff there from Brandon. Great stuff from Fiddle. Fiddle, I want to ask you kind of like on a market perspective because you mentioned this before the podcast. I thought that was really interesting. So essentially, the market moves did not work out in the game ones this weekend.
Yeah, the late market moves. Let me
Okay,
specify that. I am an early bettor. So personally, I came out totally okay. It actually had a great weekend, but the
good
late
for
moves
you. Sorry,
and
go
no,
ahead.
but where these lines, it was more result than process, and good result, not great process, because ultimately I only care about where my bet is and where the line closes. I am like strictly cold-blooded. I'll bet any teams over, under, for, against. I don't care. I'll bet any juice line, plus money, minus money, doesn't matter to me. What matters is where the line closes. And so I was holding tickets like Pacers, Bucks under 226, and that line's hanging out at 224 all the few days before this game is priced. And then the late markets, the guys that are actually betting probably at least 5 figures, probably 6 figures in these spots that are actually causing market moves at that time is something I very much pay attention to because I want to know what the closing line is. And then I want to also use that as information going into the next set of handicapping of what took some late moves. So it's valuable information to know this stuff. The funny thing is, Matt, they all ended up losing. Like you go across the board, 1 through 8, and what the moves were, what the important like late shift was, and I'll call off a few of them. Nuggets move from 2.5 to 3 late, and obviously Nuggets just
Oh,
win by 2.
that was brutal. Oh, that was hard. That was a rough beat for folks. I felt bad
That's
for
why
them.
that's why I put it first. Pacers Bucks 225 pops up to 227 and a half, 228 and goes under. Rockets take crazy amounts of movement and close at minus 2.5 and can't get it done. The Grizzlies and OKC moves from 229 to 232 in the hour before it starts. Easy under spot. The Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, each take a full point of movement on the ATS on the day of. Neither of them work out. They both got crushed. The Lakers and the Wolves take 2 points of over movement on the last day, and it gets crushed towards the under in the result. So the only one that didn't have a significant move was Knicks versus Detroit. It was kind of just consensus and stayed there up until tip off. But really, the loudest move in 7 of the 8 series all ended up losing. So as an early market bettor, I actually came out probably doing well, but by the skin of my teeth. And now I'm going to use that information into the next one, like Pacers, Bucks, over is probably worth a spot looking at. Looking at taking the Celtics ATS again or taking the Rockets ATS again and just keeping going in those directions, because if you beat the closing line and if you follow these patterns, I don't call them they are trends, but it's different in a betting trend and how we use the term. So I like to call it patterns in the market. Then you will end up being profitable. You will end up being on the right side. So like I think Rockets is probably the strongest of those spots heading into game 2.
Well, let's see. Fiddle got ahead of the market and did well. Brandon had strong caps on Pacers and Wolves and did well. I also had bets, so that's fine. That's why I host the show. That's why I host the show with people smarter than me. Let's,
Overtimes. Whoa, the overtimes.
that's well, we'll see if those are anything or not. Let's do some best bets for April 22nd in the association. Tuesday's games. In the NBA playoffs, we got 3 games on the slate for Tuesday. We've got Bucks Pacers. Pacers open 6.5. Bucks have taken money. It's now 4. There's a 4 in the market at DraftKings. The total opens 226.5. We got 229s in the market at FanDuel. Grizz Thunder opens 13.5. It's up to Thunder minus 14.5. Total is 229.5. That's down a half a point from 230 at open. Lakers open -5. It's moved to 5.5. There's a 6 out there at Bet Rivers on the Wolves +6. Total opens two. Whoa. The total Wolves Lakers open 217.5. It's 210.5. 211. We got a 6 point move, at least from where we tracked it at open. Fascinating movement there. Brandon Anderson, let's go around the horn. What are your best bets for Tuesday?
I am going to give the Lakers a desperation play. Home first half. Give me Lakers first half, -3.5 to cover the spread. And I'm going to go back to a couple of just kind of tried and true props on not overreacting on the Thunder. Give me Shea's points over. I know I just lost a bunch of money on it, so he owes me over 31.5 points. And give me J-Dub over on assists, over 4.5. Got the series leader on that one already. Those will be the 3 bets. I'll have a few other kind of long shots when we get there.
Okay. And Fiddle, what are your best bets for tomorrow?
I'm gonna take the Bucks +4 and the money line. There's a +4.5 out there, but I'll do +4 because that's what I'm okay with it too.
Don't make me do this again, Fiddle. Do not make me do this again. I don't want to bet on Doc Rivers.
The no-brainer.
I'm actually gonna. I will tell you, I will be on Thunder. I'm gonna wait to see if this gets up to 15-16, and then I'm gonna be on Grizzlies. So I'm gonna be on Grizzlies. I'm gonna wait to see if Thunder gets bet up, and then I'm gonna come back on Memphis. I've got a trend that goes along with that, and I'll be on the Los Angeles Lakers -5.5 for the full game. I'm willing to go the full game on the Wolves here. I'm also gonna be on. I'll be on Austin Reeves, probably assists will be the prop that I think I'm probably going to target. And I'm going to be on I'm going to be on Jaren Jackson Jr. points under again. I don't think they're going to give it to me because they won't put some of these guys up, and there's reasons for that. Along for various, I think it's okay in the playoffs, and they should. But if I get a Marvin Bagley prop, I am betting the ever loving shit out of the over. Ever loving shit out of the over. The only big in the series that can play, I will bet on the PR
It's
for Marvin
it
Bagley.
is the most Marvin Bagley ever that he scored 17 on 100% from the field in a completely irrelevant playoff game that was a preseason game.
But he was legitimately good and trying and like gave really good effort
Took
and
a
like
half court shot. Come on.
no, like he was getting offensive rebounds and putback. Like he can play. Like I'm telling you, he can play better than Zach Edey. All right, let's start with Bucks Pacers here. Fiddle, try and talk me into this because I am very burned by my experience this weekend and do not want to go back to the well.
So this is the exact same cap that I used for Warriors in game 1 against the Houston Rockets, in the sense that we have this data priced of what the Bucks with Damian Lillard back in the lineup is going to be while playing at the Indiana Pacers in recent form. So it closed as Pacers -1 in that matchup. And that was the game that Tyrese Halliburton would end up hitting that 4-point play. Giannis with the dumb foul where they ended up, it was like a Hail Mary to a running heave from the baseline. And it was one of the most anomalous finishes that I've ever seen. So that line closed at Pacers -1. So what's changed drastically? Is Dame playing 25 minutes and coming back from injury worth 3.5 points? Is the Pacers home court advantage worth that much of a boost? Is the Pacers just good run, even though the Bucks came into the playoffs, winners of 7 straight coming in? I don't really see how we're that different of a price from Pacers -1 being where this should close. So I think we have the asymmetric risk of Dame coming back. Did you see Dame when he was talking trash to Halliburton? He was he's mouthing, "I'll see you Tuesday. I'll see you Tuesday." So I think we're getting Dame as probably 60 to 75% priced in, and it still has room to move. This line should close at Bucks +3, maybe +2.5, once we finally get the news, and therefore happy to take the +4 or +4.5. Happy to take the best money line available associated with that, and tag on the Matt Mitchell rule that if you're going to play that, you might as well also get the plus odds because dogs in the playoffs that cover also win outright.
I'm going Oppo. I'm going to go Pacers. And there's two reasons for it. One, by the way, I said this on the live show last night. I want to reiterate this. If the Bucks come back and win this series with Damian Lillard, I get no credit. You will not hear a single victory lap from me. I was wrong the entire time if Dame comes back and they win this series. Like, flat out. If they get trucked worse with Dame, I probably won't even do that. I'll just be like, I don't know, I just got wrong about the Bucks. So I am just being very clear about this. I want it like I am a man of integrity. I will not victory lap this if the Bucks come back because I said I wanted this without Dame, and if Dame, it looks like Dame's coming back, so I love getting the Pacers here, honestly, because there's two factors. One, I get Dame's been out like a month and a half. Major return. Guys haven't played with him. This rotation doesn't know how to play with him. Yes, it's probably going to give them a boost relative to their previous performance, but their previous performance was outlier bad, especially offensively. They generated pretty good shots. They just couldn't hit anything. Defensively is where they have the issues because of the lineups that Doc rolled out. Here's the trend that I think is really important here. Four seeds that win game one in game two. 19 and 6 straight up, 76%, 17 and 8 ATS, 68%. The reason I like these seed trends is there is a stratification that occurs, right? Right? Like there's a reason why actually one seeds, which I'll talk about in a second, are not good here. They're supposed to be the best team. And so when they win, it's like, oh, we just can't glorify them enough. And the market gets ahead of where it should be on the number. Versus a team in the 4 spot, this is supposed to be pretty even. But if you win that first game, you like, all right, we tested this out. We've seen how this goes. And what's actually really supportive of this, 5 seeds that win game one on the road are 12 and 7, 63% ATS game two. If they win the first one, they're the better team. If the 4 seed wins the first one, they're the better team, like Brandon Anderson said. So I'll go Oppo you. I'm going to take Pacers -4 to discount from the open, and we'll go head to head here, Fiddle. Let's move to Grizzlies and Thunder, the obliteration. I think we could probably get this to 6. Like I said, I'm not going to track this in the app until like late because I don't see money coming back in. Well, tell me, Fiddle. The sharp action, like I do see that Grizzlies Thunder, Grizzlies are taking some sharp action here. It's moved from 13.5 at open to 14.5, but I'm tracking sharp action on Memphis. Do we think that this comes back towards Memphis tomorrow?
To be honest, in this one, I have no clue.
Okay.
I think just the fairest answer here is in this series, I have no idea where anyone wants their action. And to the point where I think it's well priced and there's probably not significant sharp action in either way.
So Brandon, I think the Thunder are awesome, and I think game one was much more about how awesome OKC is than it was about how awful the Grizzlies are. I don't think the Grizzlies are a bad team. I think the Thunder are an absolutely dominant squad, and my picks against them were based off of a lot of factors that don't have anything to do with how good of a team they are here. My question for you is, so like, I mean, look, I make the power rating on this 15.9, so like I shouldn't necessarily be wanting this at 14, but like, is the logic pretty sound here that the market's going to get ahead, going to get wrapped up with itself, and that Grizzlies are going to be motivated to play better? They can still get obliterated and lose by 13 and I cover, or 12 here. Am I wrong here for wanting to grab Memphis? I'm not going to make it a full unit play, but I do think if I'm betting into this market and I want to, I want to bet on Memphis in the spot.
Yeah, I think again, Memphis has to respond with some pride, right? Like you don't lose by 50 and not come out with something the next game. And look, once it's 30 or 40 or 50, like it's all terrible after that. Like you probably let go of the rope. The Thunder are getting some more open threes than they should. Who cares? 30, 40, 50 is all equally embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like that margin did not matter to me at the end. So I'm not sure that we should take too much out of that. We all thought the Thunder were better. The Thunder are better. Like the 50 points was about everything. The Grizzlies played poorly. The Grizzlies couldn't hit shots. The Thunder hit all their shots. The Thunder are better. it has to be about everything when you win by 50. Like everything has to come up your direction. Thunder in the series right now at DraftKings, I think is a terrible price. Thunder series spread -1.5. That is Thunder in 6 or less is -1600. Fiddle, this one is made for you. In what world is this going to 7 games or to the Grizzlies? Like how many Shea has to get hurt and basically miss the rest of the series. I don't know any other world where that is not basically free money. It's as high as -5,000 elsewhere, as it probably should be. It's not getting to game 7. -1600 doesn't seem that great, but you're getting your money back probably in the next week. Oklahoma City -2.5 is -550 at DraftKings. Same book, 85% implied that Memphis does not win at least 2 games. In what world are the Grizzlies winning 2 games? We have 5 games of sample now, not just game 1. We have 4 games from the regular season that Oklahoma City won by 13 or more, all 4 games. I'm not a big juice number is better, but I'm glad Fiddle here to respond to this. Are these prices worth investing in, a -550 or a -1600? What do you think?
Yes, I'm currently maneuvering my screens to do it. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I think you would need more than Shea to get hurt. Like, knock on wood, I think it would legitimately take 2 injuries. The coaching advantage is massive here. The schedule spot is dreadful. They're going to be -8.5 or 9 point favorites or greater in every single game this series. So, yes, I will post screenshots of the tickets and showing that I tailed you, Brandon.
All right, props here that I played, very basic cases, honestly. Shea over 31.5. That's at FanDuel. Everything else is 32.5 right now. Season numbers against the Grizzlies, 35, 32, 41, and 37. It's going to be a huge pace game. He scored 15 on 4 of 13. He had a terrible game in the one they won by 51. He's not going to do that again. I try to look up trends of like, okay, what happens when Shea scored 25 or less? What happens the next game? He scores 32 a game. Well, great. That's what he does all the other games. Like this is the number. It's going to be a fast-paced game. He's not going to play only like 20 minutes again. That's just not high enough for what Shea should do in the game. I'm not going to be burned by game 1 enough to stay away. J-Dub, we talked about his assists going into the series. I played him 11-1 assist leader. He had 6 in game 1, again, in limited minutes, and he still went comfortably over the assist line. He's now averaging against Memphis 6.6 per game on the season in 5 games. He had 8, 6, 9, and 4 in the regular season. So he's gone over 4 of the 5, under by half in just the 1. He had 10 potential assists in game 1, again, in limited minutes. So limited minutes might be the theme of the series. Maybe they just roll by 30 again and we don't get the minutes. And that's, maybe you want to not take too many overs here. It obviously did not work well for pretty much anyone you took in game 1, but I don't think we're getting that back-to-back games. So I think just kind of standard plays there. The one thing that caught my attention on just like series stuff here, Lou Dort is the heavy favorite now for threes leader in the series. He hit 4 in game 1. Aaron Wiggins hit 4 in game 1. There's still at least 3 games left here. There's a bunch of dudes with 2 and 1 and 0 threes. Desmond Bane, the only really, really good shooter in the series, is plus 650. He hit 1 of 6, so he's 3 3-pointers behind Dort and Wiggins, with, again, at least 3 games to go, and Bane is going to play more minutes, and he's going to take a lot of shots. I don't know, plus 650. What are we doing making Lou Dort like a plus 1 something after 1 game? It's not like he hit like 8 threes. He's not ahead. He's not even ahead. He's tied with his teammate, a better shooter.
Man got left off of the DPOY finalist list, and you still found a way to crap on him. Just impressive. Hater work from Brandon Anderson. Okay, let's talk final game, and let's go. I'm very tired. Timberwolves Lakers, obviously the big one of the night. Lakers -5.5, total 211. I can't believe that line movement. And maybe our open is wrong there, Fiddle, but I think it's interesting. How should we respond to that line, the total move from 217.5 to 211?
I actually thought it was a glitch and that maybe you were pulling the wrong number. So I actually went and checked each individual book. It's not wrong. There's multiple 216.5s. There's 217.5s. It's like every single one of them opened way higher. The sharpest books 216.5. So at least like 6 points of line movement towards the under. I would say that's because we have two teams that are bottom 10 in pace, and we're about to see a lot of physicality that resembles Orlando Boston or resembles Warriors Houston. Like the way this game's going to go, the next few is going to get really physical and it's going to get kind of ugly, and shooting efficiency is going to be at a premium. So I actually see it at 210.5, and I still think it's under or nothing. I'm gonna stay away from it for now and hope that if it comes up a point, 2 points, give me the under.
Minnesota had an expected EFG of 55%. They shot 64%. That was still not the best of the weekend because Oklahoma City shot 64.5%. My poor Grizzlies. I'm wearing my
Houston's
hustle.
EFG, by the way, was like 42 in their game for comparison.
Yeah, it was not good. Yeah, Houston actually the 10th best, including the play-in, the 10th highest expected field goal percentage at 54.4, and they were at 43 in non-garbage time. Just like, oh. Um, they did shoot well at the rim. Good for them. And for mid-range, they shot really well at the rim from mid-range, Brandon. So they got that going for them. Okay, this Lakers game comes down, I think for me, it's just like, look, the trends here are what I want to get into. Three seeds that lose game one, 13-2 in the first round since 2003, 87%. 73% ATS at 11-4. So for me, this is like, I think the Wolves will be satisfied. I think the Lakers, I don't know if they can play worse. I think you're probably like you're in a great spot to work out, right, Brandon, for the series. You're on them first half, and I understand like the idea of like, hey, the Wolves might just come back in the second half and punk them. I don't mind it, but this from a betting perspective, I think we're in alignment here. This has got to be Lakers or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I basically to me, I am betting. I'm making the same play as you. I'm just pansing out of the full game because I'm worried about the second half comeback, and maybe I'm overthinking it, and I'm gonna end up losing it. And I should have taken far be it for me to give up half of my data. I love to have more data possible on my bets. Yeah, another trend I had: game two home teams after a game one loss by four or more points. 44, 25, and 2 ATS, 64%. Top three seeds alone is 72% hit rate on that trend. And that's a pretty good amount of data because that's all the rounds, all the teams. So I think it's a great spot for a desperation team. You can't go down 0-2 at home. We'll see if I feel the same way when we get to Rockets Warriors on a different podcast. But then I came back to, okay, we talked about this on our series preview. Lakers, top four in first quarter net rating, top four in first half net rating, home first half rating, plus 13.7 for the season. Second best in the NBA. Second half rating, the Lakers are minus 4.7, and the Timberwolves are plus 7.8. So I don't trust them in the second half. And Matt, I disagree with the thing you just said. I don't think that the Wolves are going to be satisfied. This does not look like a team, or has not played like a team with Ant and the way he plays that is satisfied with one win. I think the Lakers or the Timberwolves would love to go 0-2 and just take it back to Minnesota and would love to try to push for the sweep. And in fact, though I'm playing Lakers first half, I also will play Timberwolves sweep 9-1 at Caesars. I think that's a bad price. I cannot get this any better than plus 500. So plus 900, even with the first half play. Look, I wish I could bet it live in game, but we're not going to get a live in game sweep price. If I'm right about the first half, obviously it's a better price there. But here's where I got there. Wolves are like minus 140 on the money line. But if you like the Timberwolves to win the game, and I think there's good reason to like them, they look like the much better team. If they win game two, well, then you should be betting game two in series because now they're up 2-0 on the road. That's plus 240. But if you're betting game two in the series, and now you're going back to Minnesota to finish things out as the team that has been much better, I think you just have to get to the sweep. So again, I'm making more like 18-20% likely at this point. And I know you're like, well, LeBron's not getting swept out of the first round. LeBron's not losing the Timberwolves with the whole argument why the Timberwolves weren't going to win the series. There's no other argument for the team. The Lakers are theoretical. They got their pants pulled down the last game. The Timberwolves are much better. I think it's a good bet.
one, this is the first time you've ever been this positive about the Timberwolves
It's
ever.
this is about the Lakers, not the Timberwolves. Well,
And
it's
this,
about both, but it's more Lakers.
well, and yeah, yeah, it's rare that you don't buy into the Lakers fatalism either.
It's
Two
fair.
factors I will say here. One, the Wolves were up 2-0 in Denver and then came home and got clacked last year in games 3 and 4. So just something to remember, I think, is
It's fair. It's a
that's
good
that I
point.
think is a point, and you can be
And
like,
frankly, should have lost the series until they suddenly had the huge run in Game Seven to
yeah.
flip the whole thing around.
And it's fair to be like, yeah, but this Lakers team is not that Nuggets team. The Nuggets were the 2 seed last year, the Lakers were the 2 seed this year. Like on some level, there's an overall performance here that I think is worth at least considering. My other factor for you, sir, is teams that are in LA that play game one and are in LA again are 3-17 straight up in game two. LA nightlife.
Even in the
Baby.
playoffs, really?
Even in the playoffs, baby. LA nightlife. No, honestly, this Wolves team, like, do you think Anthony Edwards is like, no, I must stay in my room and I will study the
I'm
art
a
of
good
war?
boy. I was at Easter services all yesterday. I don't think
Yeah,
about this stuff in
yeah,
my
exactly.
caps.
Yeah, you got that's why you go to me, the heathen. Fiddle, I feel like did you have another best bet that I missed?
No, but can I add one more thought in for this Lakers Wolves sentiment?
Hit me.
I just think people might say that the line's at 5.5, just expecting Lakers money to come in. I don't believe that to be true. I don't believe that the books are going to move this line that much and through these kind of important numbers. I think this is money that's come in on the Lakers. I think this is sharp action that's come in on the Lakers. I don't think it's books shading the number for perceived public bets because in the NBA playoffs, there's enough outs, there's enough big books that put these lines up early. Where if this was an outlier price that really just should be 4.5 or 4, it would have been smacked the other way. So the fact that it's at 5.5 means the biggest bettors are actually on the Lakers.
Okay. Um,
Matt, I got one more for you quick.
hit me.
I'm gonna try to get a little bit more of your money on something we already bet. That's not looking good right now, but I think is the number has gone too far. It sounds like you think this is still likely a long series, correct?
Wolves Lakers?
Yes.
I have no idea. No idea.
All right.
I do.
Well, either way, we bet before the series, and I believe Joe Delaire was on. I think Jim Turry was on it. I know you bet it. Dante DiVincenzo threes. We were all over it. 19-1, then it was 16-1. It got down to like 11-1. He only hit one in game one, 105. A lot of our cap was Mike Conley can't stay on the court. Conley played pretty well in game one for what we can expect of him. Luca had five, Ant has four. Those are serious threats. There's reason to believe DiVincenzo might already be out of it. But if it's a long series, and if our DiVincenzo cap is right, if we get some volume there, he's down, but he is now 50-1 at DraftKings to lead the series in threes. Can I get you back on board for another little nibble at DiVincenzo threes leader?
Hell yes, let's do it. That one I will go in with you. That's a good cap. I like that one. That's a really good cap.
All right.
All right. That's gonna do it for best bets for Tuesday in the association. We'll be back with more best bets tomorrow. Make sure to follow along in the Action Network app. Be a pro subscriber. You can get first hit crack at all these plays that Brandon puts into the app. You can follow Michael Fiddle on Twitter. He does a daily, by the way, Twitter show that where he breaks down the market and all the stuff. If you love the show, you're gonna like that show. So go check out Fiddle on Twitter at Fiddle's Picks. Wheaton Brando is Brandon on Twitter and the Action Network app with all the prop plays. We'll see you tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon for best bets for Wednesday and on Tuesday night for reacting live to Tuesday night's games on Buckets Live at youtube.com/the Action Network. My thanks to David Payne, our producer, before he heads out on a very well-earned vacation later this week, as well as Gifford Gould getting us up at youtube.com/the Action Network and hosting a Zoom meeting and making me get my Zoom settings for the first time in like 3 months. Thanks, Giff. Appreciate that. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.